Thank you, Arvind Chaturvedi ji. Now, all our three speakers are going to be taking your questions. I think some forms have been filled in by our PTs. If you have already filled the question form, you can have it sent towards our volunteers will pick up, or somebody from the hall management will pick up. We can give it to the speakers, and meanwhile, by the mic you can ask questions. We have about 15 to 20 minutes for the question. Then we have a tea break, and then the final session where Dr. Swami is going to speak for an hour, and followed by a half an hour question answer session. We propose to have the session come to an end by 6 o'clock. So let's start with the questions. Anybody has, or meanwhile, can you just collect those questions and bring it to Arvind Chaturvedi? He will sort out. Meanwhile, let us have the mic somewhere.
Yeah, and yeah.
And please now this time, those who have not asked questions in the earlier session, we give them a chance so that there is a participation of all PTs.
Arvind Chaturvedi.
Yes. Prema Raghavanji from Baroda.
See, does the Constitution say anything about the eligibility of the MPs? You know, all these criminal murderers. The Constitution doesn't say anything about who are all eligible.
Who have the criminal
cases
not pending, but those who have been given the punishment by the court. So if the punishment is more than 2 years and the case has been disposed of, then you cannot contest. Otherwise you can contest. So even if the lower court has given you the punishment is less than 1 year, less than 2 years, you can still contest.
We can't amend this bill.
That is for Parliament to decide. That is for Parliament. Amendment has to be done in Parliament. That is why I said, आप कैसा प्रतिनिधि चाहते हो, ये आपको तय करना है. आप कैसा कानून चाहते हो, ये आपको तय करना है. जनता को तय करना है.
Criminals will not bring the amendment.
अपराधियों को कोई रुचि नहीं है अपने खिलाफ कानून बनाने के लिए.
MR sir, I have a simple question. You said commodity future causes inflation, but then my logic says that every time there is a buyer of a commodity future, there is a seller also. So why do people sell in commodity markets? If you can enlighten me with that logic.
Sir, it's a long story, but put it simply, something where even in a share market, or even today in the gold market, you'll find there are buyers and sellers. That is why you have a market. The fact of the matter is, you will find, for instance, I'll just give you an example. 2010, if I recall correctly, 2009-10, there was supposed to be a drought in the country. In a drought year, you are supposed to release food grains from your buffer stock into the market, so that you don't have enough food grains production, and the buffer stock is basically to cater to your drought-like situation. You know what the government did? It purchased almost 10 million tons of food grains from the market into the buffer stock. Instead of releasing, it actually got stocked from the open market into the buffer stock. Why did this happen? This happened because somebody was playing in the futures market right from the month of June onwards, knowing very well that the prices of some of these agri-commodities will go up, and to back their bettings in the futures market, they got the stock being purchased. Somebody very high up, I will tell the name after I reach Chennai this night, because this politician is from Maharashtra. So unless you have these type of politicians in charge of all these things, so you have to understand it's a rigged casino. That's the problem.
There is a question from Manoj Kumar that is about the participation of women in the Parliament. It says that even though there is a good work and women participation in Parliament, but there is a vested interest. For example, the entry of Akhilesh Yadav's wife in assembly elections. It is not actually assembly election, it is in the Lok Sabha, and Akhilesh Yadav's wife won the Lok Sabha election unopposed, and the candidates who wanted to contest were kidnapped. And this is not only case in Uttar Pradesh, this is not only case, one point case in Akhilesh Yadav's wife's case. In fact, personally, if you ask me, I'm sitting here with my Janata Party President Dr. Subramanian Swamy, but personally if you ask me, I am against any kind of reservation anywhere in the country, including women reservation. Women reservation has been exploited by the husbands and the father-in-laws of the political families, and they have only given the chance to women members from their houses only for the namesake. And I agree with you that this has been exploited and this should be done away with. There should be some other method of promoting women, or whether it is Dalit, or whether it is the backward classes, or whether it is any other section which requires the reservation. I am personally against any kind of reservation.
Any more questions for the three? In fact, there have been some questions which we have got received, but most of them are addressed to Dr. Swamy. So what Dr. Swamy will be addressing you for an hour, maybe you can find answers to those questions in his address, but we, as I mentioned, we'll have a half an hour session separately, and maybe we can see that some of the questions are answered during the half an hour session after Dr. Swamy's speech. So
there's a question from Dilip Makwana, though the question is addressed to me, but I think I'll give it to Dr. Swamy. When he speaks, he'll talk about that.
Yeah, please.
This is a question to all speakers who have completed till in the morning. Anyone can answer. I don't have any preference. There are numerous financial products which are released in the markets, either in the form of mutual funds or whatever financial products you want to say. So from morning I can only hear a pessimistic view about any financial product. But what I would like from the speakers is, from a rich history of India, which is having around lakhs of years, if you actually take in consideration of Ramayana and Mahabharata, is there any financial product which, like there were economic reforms earlier as well, is there any financial product which you can suggest from those research which is very safe and you're not keeping your head in some other's hand?
See, today the problem is the market. When we mean the word markets or whatever, we genuinely mean the meeting of buyers and sellers who genuinely are interested in buying and selling. You may be wrong. Somebody will make a gain, somebody will make a loss. But yet, we always believe that there is somebody who has made a calculation that he will be doing this genuinely. Take any financial product that you are getting, whether it is the ULIPs or whether you have the insurance products, the stock market product. As Sucheta Dalal rightly said this morning, there are enormous amount of disclosure, transparency norms. In fact, I will tell you the best fiction in this country is called balance sheet. Okay. Being a chartered accountant, I can tell you, there is nothing, we have standards, and accounting standards are bent, they are maimed, they are stretched. So every balance sheet is more fiction and less of facts. So you have to depend on somebody. But the larger thing is, if something goes bad, there must be some punishment to somebody. In fact, there is no guaranteed you can get away with daylight murder and there won't be anybody to punish you. That is why we are having this problem. except possibly with the safe exception of deposits in banks, I don't see any financial instruments not having systemic risk. I'm not talking about market risk or yield risk. I'm talking about systemic risk that is there in almost every financial product.
Before I give it to you, let me add any financial product which doesn't, I'm particularly talking about derivatives, which does not involve swapping of debt, is of acceptable risk.
See, the search for safe financial product has been going on. But by and large, if you look at our financial saving, household financial saving, significant portion of it is kept in the bank only. Followed by provident fund, insurance and your small savings in postal system. So, actually, last few years, if you see 2 to 3% of the household financial saving only goes to the share market. So it's not such a huge amount. Or US, of course, significant portion of the people are interested in the share market. There is some statistics which say approximately 2/3 of the US mainline, middle class will be in some way or other involved. Not in our type of a country. Because of other reasons, problems of what I always call as million Abhimanyus in the Indian share bazaar. You can enter, but you cannot come out. I think all of you know about Abhimanyus, I'm sure. And like, my students, somebody will ask, who is that gentleman, sir? So, there was a big debate in the class. Some girl told, you don't know he comes in that big story. Which story? Story where the lady was kidnapped or the sari was removed. You tell which story. There are two stories they know. So, you know about Abhimanyus at least, right? See, the thing is, nearly 9,000 scripts are listed in our, approximately. You will be surprised, of that 50% was not even had one quotation last year. Hardly 100 or 150 are regularly traded. If you take the top something like 10 scripts, I'm not talking about 10%, 10 scripts, that will constitute roughly 50 to 60% of the market. So our markets are extremely shallow in terms of liquidity and other. Other than that, many of you may be knowing, approximately 70% of the trade is day trading. People enter at 11 o'clock and come out at 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock. Squaring off trading. It is not really. It's like any other. So only 20-25% is what you may loosely call for actual delivery and picking up. So that is one of the things where market is not very safest from the pure financial point of view is the government debt. Government issued, RBI. For the simple reason, government has got the access to the Nasik press. Right. Some private fellows like Telgi also has access. That is you might Telgi from my state is and actually some people told Telgi stamp papers are much better in terms of quality. Because that fellow got the good machines. So the point is, among the debt, government debt is easiest to settle because it can print. Household debt is very difficult. Housewives unfortunately don't have a small machine to print notes. Otherwise lovely, every housewife will love it, right? Every day morning after chai you start, for your requirement. Household debt is extremely complicated. Corporate debt is another side. Like he was telling Venkatesh, if you borrow 40 lakh for a flat, you go on scratching your head. How much EMI is to pay, another thing. If I borrow 400 crore, that fellow will ring up regularly my wife. How is professor? Is he good? And the whole thing is game is changed actually. So corporate debt is very common. What is called telephonic banking. Telephonic banking means what? Some neta will telephone the bank chairman and he will have to decide. That is called telephonic. Don't think telephonic banking is what you are doing. Press 1 for Hindi, press 1 for English and all that. That is your understanding of telephone, right? and then press 3. If you are a new customer, get lost. All that thing. If you are existing customer, get lost. So, bank is a good mechanism for corporate, and the corporate can always, and then it can go into legal and other thing. Household debt is the most complicated thing among the three. That government securities, that is why it's called the household debt is one which is actually creating havoc in Europe and US. Significant amount of households have got huge amount of debt, much more than their generation of GDP actually. Aggregate debt itself is 500% of GDP, 400% of GDP. Of that, household debt is phenomenally high actually. They are indebted. Like I told you in the morning, we are womb to tomb bribery. Same way they are womb to tomb on debt, credit card. My colleague showed me actually a place where he is going to bury it, and he is paying regular subscription based on his EMI for that place. Because the space is very big problem in places like Atlanta or in Illinois. So one of my American colleagues was showing, this is the place I am going to be. I was shocked. I told, don't tell all these things. In our system, we don't tell these things. Where you are, because we don't bury first of all. We burn. He says everything is ready. One MS Word document also has been prepared, which will be read by the priest. That he was a great man, he was an honorable man, he was always appreciated by students, and nothing of that is truth. But anyhow, he has printed it. And the point I want to stress is, he pays EMI to get that space. So death is also on. So they compute, and that company is going on wondering, when is this fellow is going to. Because it's like pension provider wants you to die next day. Come on, be clear about it. Insurance provider never wants you to die. There's a big problem between them. Even though both products are given by the same company. So it is highly indebted nation. Yes, on a individual basis. So among the debts, obviously households can't generate riskless, what is called the instruments. Even if they want to issue, who is going to accept it? So the government instruments are one of the safest really among the lot. Even though the yield will be relatively low. But in India there are transactional issues, you have to go and then, that is why gold is the most preferred option in India. Because it is 24/7 anywhere in the country, anytime you can dispose it off. You can get a loan against it immediately. Gold is, it's like an ATM actually, in that sense of the term. That is why it is most, normally otherwise people should go for household, government debt. So government debt is always, if you are looking for a, riskless. And obviously what happens, common people, they think what I was telling in the morning, that Week or your other type of, these non-bank agencies, they feel they are also riskless. So they go and invest there and burn there. But again after a couple of years, if that fellow comes, again people will they go or not go? Again people will go. Because I have another hypothesis which Dr. Swami may not agree. In India, quite a large number of people want to lose money. I can tell you that. That is if you, while taking bath in the morning, you decide, I want to lose 1,000 rupees. Who can prevent you? Government of India, army, nobody can prevent. No, I am very serious, because these type of companies, plantation scheme, one fellow sold all plantation dreams in Tamil Nadu. In various other places also, you put money in this tamarind plant, this teak plant, and and they all generated, you will be surprised, 12,000 crores. So huge amount of enthusiasm among people. And the chairman I saw in Delhi airport, I told, why are you sitting here? Everybody is searching for you in. He says, what harm I have done? What is this? Everywhere you have put billboard, 5 generations it will benefit. He told, that is correct, Professor. I never told whose 5 generation it will benefit. I could not answer him, because I felt I was talking to the ex-Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, who benefited, I think more than 5 generations, maybe 8 to 10. So, but what I am telling you, the same fellow comes and floats another thing. There will be a queue for that also. Because there is a tremendous enthusiasm among people to believe, and then It's not just about financial literacy or anything. There is a general enthusiasm that something will come. Now one fellow will say, yeah, I got this. You also? I told you that Winnie where 700 crore in Bangalore, they have collected. Most of the receipt they have given is actually, what receipt? They have given it as a donation to a temple. It's not even a fixed deposit receipt. To collect that and give money, there is a queue, and if you ask any question, fellow behind will say, go. I want to go in the front and give money. So the safest, in our context at least, is, one would definitely say in terms of government instrument or the bank instrument, because some of our banks are, it's not that they are too big to fail. They will not be allowed to fail. If they take a bank like State Bank of India, it's got a 70% of the, assets, and it's too huge to be, meddled with or anything. So, but obviously when you are looking at from the point of view of return, it is not going to be very attractive or anything. What is loosely called a riskless return, right? So that's what you can think in terms. Otherwise, various other products, various other things are there, but for which you have to spend time. Quite amount of time you have to put in yourself in order to understand. That old traditional belief is land and gold. Land and gold. And it used to be the dream for every middle class in the country to have a house of its own. And because of the current socio-economic policy, this is becoming beyond the reach of the middle class. I tell you, this is a huge curse on our nation today. Large amount of hard-earning middle-class people are not able to acquire a small piece of land or acquire a house. It's a huge, the asset prices have gone up so much, that inflation nobody is talking about. People are, of course, the Tordal and apple inflation is phenomenal. As somebody told, he picked up 3 apples and went home, income tax rate was there on his home. Because how could you manage to buy 3 apples at one time? So that inflation is phenomenal. But realist, this is, I tell you, this is something which is simmering discontent among the middle class in this country. People who have certain amount of earned money, but they cannot acquire what one can call a smaller asset. Forget about, 4-bedroom or 5-bedroom, another thing. Even so the land. Other is gold. These are the two traditional, age-old acquisition thing. And as Ramakrishna Paramahamsa told, these are the two which created all disputes, wars, conflicts, death, everything. What he used to call it as, Kanchana and Kamini. These are the two things. So the gold and land are the complete methods. And even today gold will, of course the experts will go on arguing in seminars, gold should not be bought. While he is talking, his wife is standing in the Titan. He is giving big speeches. Gold is unproductive. His wife sends by mobile, can I get this design, or gold is not going to go away anywhere. It will be there because people don't realize hundreds of advantages. You see, one thing, let's be very, very clear in asset holding. If in India women does something, it is the most shrewdest and cleverest and positive thing in the earth. Trust them. A simple thing is trust them. You know what? People don't realize 80% of our saving is household saving. And that is what running this economy. Not if you are FII and FDI. FII and FDI put together will be 7-8% only. The household say, somebody asked me, who is responsible for our growth? I have told it earlier also. An average housewife in this country is responsible for the growth of Indian economy. Nobody else. Yeah. Put a statue of her from Kottayam to Kohima. One statue of a lady standing like that. Without a handbag. I am telling. So most important. That is what. She is the saver. And she invests in gold mean very simple. Because people don't understand this. Elementary, it is smaller quantities you can acquire. You can acquire 5 gram, 10 gram. Real estate is not easy, except your ETF and those products. Other than that, real estate you can't get. Can you get 1 feet by 2 feet? You can't get. You have to get at least 20 by 30 or something. You have to have money. Here you can acquire. The most critical, which everybody forgets, is passing it on to the next generation is most easy in gold. inheriting, or what you may call bequeathing to others. You just call all the ladies, daughter-in-law, Bahu, all these Ekta Kapoor members. Each one bangle, one anklet. Matter is settled. Second is possession is ownership. If a Bahu comes, my wife gives her a chain, she puts it tightly holding. That's all. It is hers. You can't ask where is the proof, where is the documentation. Possession is ownership. Kindly remember this. For everything else you have to be, all that thing has to be done. ID and the date of acquisition, and then call a chartered accountant to draw the chart, depreciation. Gold nothing. So bequeathing is extremely easy, and it is insurance and pension for poorer segments. Very important. People don't realize. For poorer segment, the ladies, when the husband dies, the children are not taking care, at least she is left with some amount of gold. And that is why the Zimmerman World Gold Council economist always used to tell me, the not removing Mangal Sutra while the husband is alive is not a superstition. It is a basic economic principle. That means the woman has got a hold on that asset. How do you prevent the children from taking it away? Create a thing. Create some sort of, it is called superstition, but it is not. Don't kill elephant. It's not a superstition. This is some mechanics of preventing and preserving the heritage of our. Don't destroy trees. It is not a superstition. It's a mechanism by which, and hugging trees, so many Bishnois have got killed in this country. So we immediately say that is all superstition. It is not actually. So gold has got phenomenal amount of advantages. It will continue to have. So land and gold. Land of course has got the positive thing for the simple reason, whether one likes it or not, God doesn't create any more land. It's already fixed. It is finished. He is not going to make more land. You cannot make one demand. It's fixed. So that is the mud has got its own value. People know about it actually, in India at least. And the other is the gold. These are the two evergreen, what you call, in the engineering jargon they will say, the mechanical is the green discipline. Evergreen. It never has any failures. Same thing will happen. So asset classes wise, you can always trust these assets. In terms of financial instrument classes wise, government as well as the bank. These are the two possible sources today you can think about. Right. Thank you.
Okay. Last question we are taking because we are breaking for the tea, coffee.
I'll finish this. Somebody has asked, Kapil B. asked, there are many tax burden on businessmen in way of income tax, sales tax, blah, blah. LBT has been introduced in Maharashtra. Is there any way to get rid of it? So we are trying to pull across a couple of people in Madras Chamber challenge the Madras High Court certain provisions of, as I told you, in the Customs Act, excise and service tax, and find out whether it's unconstitutional. Find out whether this is unconstitutional, get a good lawyer, otherwise appear party in person and fight it out. I think we have no other way but to fight it out at party in person. If you think this is unconstitutional, courts will definitely give you a good hearing, and definitely courts will allow to throw this. You have to but do an enormous amount of homework. I think the man on the stage is a great example of how you can use the laws. There is no point in saying courts will not listen, no, judiciary is not okay, that is not okay. Swamiji has taught us how to use courts to our advantage. Please follow that principle, make a good preparation, go and fight this case, you will win.
Thank you. Now we break for tea, but sharp 4:10 we are going to assemble. It will be strictly followed, and then Dr. Swami will start speaking for an hour, and then question answer, and then the end. So please enjoy your tea, and we meet at 4:10.